Check 1 2. Ponlo pero para que lo escuches, súbele el volumen. Ok, pero si lo escuchas, mira. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. It's good, it's clear. So vete a la... ¿Por qué lo apagas? Que lo cierras. Porque miren, ahí mismo también. Bájale, bájale. 1 2. Y yo te doy allá mi de nuevo. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Pero le bajaste mucho ahora. 1 2. Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. No le subas tanto. Ahora sí. 1 2. 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Much better. No, no, no. Te tengo que dar mi pie aquí. Créemelo. Check 1 2. Better or no? Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Check 1 2. Sir, please. Sir. No? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Porque es que ese ruido siempre lo bajaba hasta por ahí. Súbele los otros. Estos. Súbele este. Este es el más. Este arriba. Check 1 2. Much better or no? 1 2. Check 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 1 2. Ya te estoy dando más mid. Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Much better. Y bájale al switcher también el volumen un poquito para que se te quite eso que estás escuchando. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. También sabes qué hice el otro día, lo cambié de channel aquí. A ver, déjame escuchar. Check 1 2. A ver este. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Microphone check one two. Check one two. Check one two. No. Check one two. 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 Microphone check one two. Check one two. ¿Te lo cambio? ¿O no? Check one two. ¿Te lo cambio? Microphone check one two. That one is working. Perfect. Yes. So we need to mark it. Check one two. So we're good now. Yes. Okay. Cool. Thank you, sir. Check one two.
Ladies and gentlemen, check out this nice audio we have here, live from Miami.
And check from YouTube. The YouTube is the main part now. This is YouTube? Oh my God. Oh, send the link, brother. Send the link. Send the link. Mambo number five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mambo number five. Number five. Mambo number five. 5, 5, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2. Mambo number five. 1, 2, 1, 2. Number five. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Te estaba amando y ahora tengo que morir de sed. think we're gonna push to 8:10.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Okay.
So much. Thank you.
Don't start the time. Don't start the timer until he goes up. Yeah, thanks.
Hello. Hello. All right. Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the gala dinner. If I could get your attention just for a moment. I know you're having a wonderful dinner. Everyone's having a good time. I would like to interrupt your dinner just for a moment, just for a couple moments. This will be well worth it, I promise you. You can all go back to your dinners here momentarily. I just wanted to say, could we hear just a little? I want to hear if you had a good day today. Could you give us a round of applause? Who had a good day today? Okay, good day. All right. Now, who had a great day today? Let me hear. Who had a really great day today? There it is. There it is. You know what? I can just tell by the vibe and the energy in this room that you guys had a great day. I've heard some fantastic feedback from you already. This is a sign of a great day, and this is your reward. I know we've been working you pretty hard, and I hope you enjoy your meal, and I hope you enjoy our keynote speaker to my left here this evening. This is going to be fantastic. I'm also pleased to announce that we're on track right now for achieving our execution of meetings that need to take place over this day-and-a-half event. And when we do that tomorrow by 3 o'clock, one lucky winner here who's going to pull that raffle ticket gets to donate $1,000 to a charity of his or her choice. So again, think about that lucky organization that's going to receive funds because of your gratitude, because of your generosity. So that is some really good news. I know we've kept you indoors a lot today. We got to go outside for a little cocktail hour. I just wanted to share a couple of fun facts with you about the venue that we're sitting in here. This is the Biltmore Hotel. Who's been here before? Raise your hand. Okay, a few hands up. A lot of you have not been here before, so since you're here, let me just share a few fun facts about where you are. The Biltmore is a National Historic Landmark. It was built in 1926. It served as a hospital during World War II. One of the largest hotel pools in the East Coast is right outside those doors. Speaking of that, tomorrow morning we have what is called the Biltmore Invitational, a little swimming competition. If anybody thinks they can take me down or my team down, 6:45 a.m. in your Speedos, goggles ready to go, on the deck. We're going to have a little race, and we're going to have some bragging rights for the rest of the day. This is going to happen. Now, some say that this hotel is haunted. A ghostly woman in a white dress is often seen wandering the halls and the grounds. Her mournful presence is often accompanied by a chill in the air and the scent of gardenias. Yeah, right? How about this one? Al Capone's bodyguard, Fats Walsh, was shot to death on the 13th floor, which had been turned into a gambling suite for mobsters, wealthy snowbirds, and bejeweled women. Here's one more fact for you. Guess what? The Biltmore does not have a 7-Eleven yet. Let me tell you about 7-Elevens. I was in Japan a few months ago. These 7-Elevens, I've never seen anything like this, Jim. I'm talking fresh sushi. I'm talking you can make your own healthy smoothies with like fresh vegetables and fruits. I'm talking owners of these 7-Eleven franchises that take so much pride in their stores. They're immaculate. The inventory is stocked, and it is just a joy to walk in these 7-Elevens. Why am I talking about 7-Eleven? Because to my left here, I want you all to give us a warm welcome. This is Mr. Jim Castle. Jim is the CISO of 7-Eleven, and he is our keynote speaker tonight. Let's give it up for Jim.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so this is, we've got 45 minutes on the clock. I don't think any of us are going to last that long, so I'm going to make this more of a workshop session. So I'm going to ask questions. I want everybody to engage. This is not death by PowerPoint, so I want everyone to give me some thoughts on some of my perspectives. So I'll tell you right now, I'm not an expert on AI, but I've done this with a couple of different companies now, and I've got some perspectives. I think a number of you probably heard me during the Cyber Haven event when we were talking about the governance piece. I feel very, very, very strongly about that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's great to be here. People ask me, Jim, why do you come here? And I come here because I get the chance to meet each one of you. I think this is my third session with Millennium Alliance. This is probably the best venue that I've seen, and I've had some great discussions with each one of you, so I look forward to that. Little housekeeping disclaimer, I am here as a CISO. I'm not speaking to you as the CISO of 7-Eleven, nor do I represent the views of 7-Eleven, so our legal team will be happy about that. So it's, again, we're going to get through this. Again, I inherited the drunken food coma crowd, so bear with me as we roll through this. A little bit about 7-Eleven, though. So what Patrick was mentioning was actually our parent company, which is 7-I Holdings out of Japan, which their food is amazing. Although I do get engaged in some international operations, I'm mainly focused on North America. So 14,000 stores in North America, largest retail footprint in the world. We are not public, although there are some reports in the news that we are going to go public. Just to give you a perspective on that, we are an $80 billion a year company in revenue. That's right, 80 billion with a B. So that puts us about in a Fortune 50 company. So we are quite large, high degree of complexity, high degree of operations. I've been there for 5 months, by the way. So this has been certainly a challenge, but it's really great to be here with all of you. A couple of trivia points. Patrick mentioned the pool. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So what percentage of the U.S. population lives within 2 miles of a 7-Eleven? You guys can just shout it out. Okay, some good guesses, actually. It's 50%. 50% of the entire U.S. population lives within 2 miles of a 7-Eleven, which gives you perspective on the coverage we have, right? So a lot of real estate, a lot of coverage, a lot of engagement with all of you, actually. I've heard some great feedback from this team. Patrick mentioned the pool. I'm curious. I did some research. I love trivia. First of all, it's a great pool. Any thoughts on how many gallons it takes to fill up that pool? 7,500. Anybody else? Anyone? I was trying to be really smart with my wife. I'm like, oh, it's 200,000 gallons for sure. 600,000 gallons. So when you look at that pool, you just realize, I think it's on average 5.5, 6 feet deep, and it is a serious pool. So it's a great venue, great to be here. Let's talk about AI. And again, I want everybody's perspective. This is my perspective. I haven't gone through this a couple of times. Okay, some topics we're going to cover. What's the adoption look like on AI? And I think during Cyber Haven, the comment was it's exponential growth. I think that's absolutely right. It is. It's exponential growth. I thought that was a great comment. And we're definitely seeing that more and more and more. We just need to make sure it's not a race to the bottom. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that from my perspective. Are malicious actors gaining a foothold? I think they might be, right? So with the adoption of AI, we are seeing a proliferation of malware as a service. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but it's a little scary, which puts more and more onus on us as cybersecurity professionals to be thinking about how the risk profile has changed. Again, organizational race, it's not a race to the bottom. And we're going to talk about a couple of comments that kind of indicate that from my perspective. And I think we need to be we need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, which is information security teams. We've got to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We need to be engaged. We need to provide guidance. And by the way, I'm going to tell you right now a phrase that I do not like. We continually say, what are the guardrails we're using? Well, that's pretty draconian. How about we use guide rails instead? I know it sounds like a simple thing, but I can't stand guardrails because these are guide rails. These are helping the company achieve the best that they could be. Okay? And some final thoughts. to make the $5 trillion mark. I think this gives us perspective about the order of magnitude, if you will, of AI. 87% believe it will provide a competitive edge, claim it's an AI focus as part of their business plans, but only 5% of their budget. Those three bullets to me are incongruent from my perspective. You're saying it's a force multiplier. Effectively, I'm putting words in the mouth there. I'm an ex-military guy, but you're only devoting 5% of your budget to AI. To me, that's insane. Absolutely insane. To me, I think it probably should be more, but who knows? Adoption rates vary by company size. So very large are doing it, very small are doing it. I don't know really why. My guess is very large. You're keeping up with the Joneses and you feel a need to do it. I think very small is you're small and you're agile. So you got somebody who's got a job that is now your AI expert. I think that's probably what's happening. 75% of consumers are worried about the potential spread of misinformation. I read somewhere, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I read somewhere that it's between 3 and 30% of AI still has some level of hallucination. That's a pretty big number. You can actually understand why people are a little concerned about it. And then you look at about the way that data gets poisoned, and all of a sudden it becomes more and more and more of a problem. 52% are worried that AI will replace their jobs, right? So I keep telling my team, I'm sure you do too, don't worry about it, right? It's going to enhance your job. Okay, I do subscribe to that. You guys know what happened last Friday? Anybody paying attention to the news? Thank you very much, sir. CrowdStrike. They have 5% of their workforce. They directly attributed it to AI enablement. So guess what? The game is changing. And today, I think I just saw where Microsoft laid off 3%. They didn't explicitly say that it was AI related, but I suspect there's a lot of truth to that. So the world is changing, the game is changing, and we need to think about it in a very different way. There's footnotes at the bottom of a lot of these. I'm going to call these out. At some stage, therefore, we should have to expect the machines to take control. By the way, that's not from Terminator. Any thoughts? That quote is 75 years old. Anybody ever watch The Imitation Game? Yeah, that's Alan Turing, the father of AI. So, again, I think probably fairly prophetic. Very interesting to say the absolute least. I want to go back one real quick. AI is the hardest challenge the security industry has ever faced. How many of you went to RSA? Actually, not a lot, a few of you. So this was coming from Jitu Patel, who's basically the product lead for all things at Cisco, including cyber. Pretty interesting, right? Okay, so let's talk about malicious actors. Everybody familiar with this one? So this is a Chinese, I'll say phishing. A lot of it is really smishing. It's SMS related, Darkula, which has been out there for a long time. Up until the advent of them really leveraging AI, they were deploying 200 models across 100 companies. There was a report that 600 malicious gangs leveraged this solution to steal about 1 million credit cards. And when they sent the link out, they got something like 34 million hits on the link. That's without AI. Now they're saying with AI, the ability for it to effectively unlimited models and tailored models is off the charts. So this is, I think, an example of exactly. I would say there's good news and bad news. The NIST National Vulnerability Database is now starting to track these. The first one that I saw was in August of last year. It was related to OpenAI, which was basically a user ID, if you will, that you could compromise and then elevate yourself to basically godlike privileges. Okay, that's only as of last year. So we got a mass increase in the number of vulnerabilities. We're only now, just now, really tracking AI as a CVE, which I think is pretty scary, pretty amazing. Okay, I'm gonna go to one more and then we'll open it up for thoughts. So I don't think these themes surprise anybody. They probably shouldn't. Deep fakes, the one that I saw that was pretty interesting. So a CFO on a Zoom call, no less, on a Zoom call, was able to convince a younger person on the Zoom call to fire off a check for $25 million, okay? So that's deep fake on steroids. They were on the Zoom call and they believed that it was actually the CFO. So I think this is the type of stuff that it's here, it's now, and how do we defend against it? I'm not completely sure, but I think it's definitely something that we need to think about. Targeted emails, far more, I'll say, intensive emails. So for example, they fish social media, they find out that Mary belongs to her son's soccer club. Next thing you know, she gets an email, hey, the game has changed, okay? Of course, that link is malicious. That's what we're seeing. I mean, it is definitely, it's a tipping point from my perspective. The advent of AI, I think it's a positive, but I think it's also a challenge. Obviously, model stealing, they don't actually have to get to the model. They can interpolate based upon the way the model acts and the output that it gives. So there's a lot of ways that they can be very crafty. And then certainly data poisoning. I mentioned that just a little while ago. You know, instead of having a picture of a cat, you put a picture of a dog. Just something as simple as that. And that's exactly what happens. And I think the bullet at the bottom, most dangerous attacks they don't hit firewalls, they hit people, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. I'm going to pause there. Any thoughts on what you're seeing from the malicious actor perspective? Is there a key theme that I think we need to chat about here? Anyone? Okay. Yes, sir.
We got microphones right here, so everybody can hear you. Hang on one second.
Thanks. Jim, yeah, thanks. Brian Hansen. It's interesting what you bring up because I think that the challenge that we're seeing with artificial intelligence being used in attacks is that it's very quick to make the local global. And so we're seeing bad actors, again, we already know they don't have to be physically located where they're trying to commit crimes, but it makes it very easy for them to take something that's successful in one environment or market and then replicate it across the world at a high rate of speed.
At scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something that concerns us is being able to quickly capture that information of the types of attacks that we're seeing and then share that across all of our environments.
That's a great comment. And again, it's at scale. And it's very quickly, it's not at scale just in terms of what you want to do, but it's at scale. It's AI-driven replicas capable of mimicking human thought and behavior. If we thought social engineering was hard before, try that on for size. Because that kind of stuff really scares me. Because now you absolutely have a really capable, insidious way to breach the environment. So I think we need to be thinking about those things and certainly be careful. Okay, organizational approach. I talked about this again for those of you that were in the Cyber Haven meeting. It's not a race to the bottom. But if you look at the very bottom there, I think this is from JP Morgan Chase, we're seeing organizations deploy systems they fundamentally don't understand. In the military, we call that ready, fire, aim. That's exactly what it is. And that's a problem. And we were talking about how people are still putting IP out into, I'll say open source models. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one is they don't understand IP. They were not trained on how to use the model. And I think in most cases, it's not malicious, but it doesn't matter. It's still a loss of data. And I think we're definitely seeing quite a bit of that. So let's go through a few of these. Clear strategy. If you don't have a clear strategy, don't waste your time, right? What is your objective? Is it ROI? Is it to penetrate a particular market vertical that you've not had before? But you need to be very clear. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's the ROI. Those three things, they sound simple. They're not simple. And we're seeing a lot of companies they talk the game, but they don't really follow through. So just a legacy, and I don't know if you have any JP Morgan Chase alums. I was a JP Morgan Chase alum. At the end of every year, God bless Jamie Dimon, he called up all the executives to say, you mentioned that we were going to get a $50 million return on investment on this project. Go. Show me exactly how you got $50 million ROI on that project, which I've never seen any business ever do. And I think we're definitely seeing that with the AIs. That we talk the game, but we're not really holding people's feet to the fire. And I think that goes very close in hand with executive support, right? The executive team expects you to be leveraging AI, which is why I brought up and it's the next bullet, I brought up the problem, I think a problem, about the governance model. How are we approaching governance? By the way, I don't think cybersecurity owns governance. I don't think cybersecurity owns the AI policy, if you will. But again, we got to be part of the solution, otherwise we are definitely part of the problem. Define the governance approach. So I see John Vespa's out there. For people that are race car drivers or love a fast car, Mario Andretti, what his famous quote was, brakes don't slow a car down, they allow it to go faster. That's how I view governance. Governance needs to be an enabling function with guide rails, not guardrails, that everyone can clearly understand and clearly adopt. Because if it's 15 pages long, you've lost people. You've lost them. We got that part of that governance has got to be the training, the right people on board, the right time. You know, again, I'm going to use the Cyber Haven example. We were talking about policy. Well, policy is interesting. That's an administrative control, certainly from my perspective. But there are AI defense models that allow you to do it at macro level 3 things. One, they're validating that your model is operating as you expected from the AI perspective, so that's point one. Point two is you get visibility as to how the organization is actually using AI. The third point is you can put in those policy parameters so it can alert you when policy has been compromised. Is anyone using an AI type defense model right now? I'm curious. Okay, that's what I thought. That to me, I think this is going to supercharge your corporate initiatives. And if you're not using an AI defense, which I think the cyber team should own, you're never going to catch up. Never. And there's a number, again, I would say Cyber Haven is a little bit like this. There's a few others, and again, I don't like talking about particular vendors, but I think it's definitely something that we need to think about. And I think we need to be clear about the skills. Do we have the right people on the right bus in the right seat? I think a lot of times we basically take someone who's technical and you're now on the AI team. Okay, well, I get that from a human perspective, but from a true operations perspective, maybe not. And maybe that's simply just not a really good idea. Again, I'm not casting dispersions. I'm just saying that we need to think about that. Finally, identify the users, right? Or users and users. So at 7-Eleven, we have a lot of custom apps. So we're using code assistants, right? Everybody know what the percentages of increased efficiency when you use a code assistant? Anybody? Okay, 50%. 50% improvement in productivity and efficiency by using a code assistant. So we need to be very clear, again, who's our audience and how are we enabling the audience to do better than they are today? Okay, any questions on the organizational approach? Again, I'm going to pause. This is an open forum, so any thoughts, any comments from anyone? It's interesting, I just read a quote before I came up here, which actually I take exception to. An AI, I'll say expert, made a comment that said, we're using AI the way our parents used cell phones. It was, quote, old people use cell phones. I don't know where that came from, but again, I resemble that remark and I take exception to it. But it's pretty interesting if you think about it. Is that how we're using AI? I think the answer is actually in a lot of cases, yes. Again, race to the bottom. Fire and forget, and we're not really sure what we're really trying to accomplish. So we've got to be part of the solution. So again, I'm not going to blame anyone, but I looked up what the firewall rules were for some AI-related, I'll say, activities within your company. Code assist, block. Okay, well that's interesting. What if we're using code assist to get 50% improvement in productivity? Maybe that's not a good idea, and I'm not saying that you would automatically refer to these, but these are the default settings. That's a little concerning from my perspective. This tells me that we are blockers, not enablers, from a cybersecurity perspective. That's a challenge. So I think we need to think very, very differently about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Okay? Okay, part of the solution. We've got to be part of the governance team, but we've also got to be clear about how we're managing and aligning to corporate objectives. Here's what we can't do. We can't be a blocker. We've got to be an enabler. We've got to leverage things like AI defense to automate as much as we can of the governance piece. And we cannot be a no-no. Any of you ever read Our Iceberg is Melting? Okay. No, penguin. No, we can't do that. No, we can't do this. No, we can't do that. We can't, that cannot be us. We cannot be the no penguin. We've got to, again, think differently and think outside of the box for certain. So I'm convinced that what our team is doing, several companies I've worked at, again, I'm not going to put any company on notice, we're playing catch up. I think the AI teams are running so fast, we're trying to stay on top of it. Worried about, hey, what about the AI solutions that I'm deploying? Okay, how about we worrying about the corporate AI initiatives? And I think we're playing catch up there. So a couple thoughts for governance. So first of all, you need an AI framework. We were chatting at the table a moment ago. NIST has a really good one. They've got an AI risk management framework, Cloud Security Alliance, as an example. So they're out there. The point is, don't reinvent the wheel. And if you really want to, you could actually ask, your AI assistant to write it for you. Write me a framework. By the way, it will come back off the record. I might have asked it to write my information security policy because I've only been at the company for 5 months. And I won't tell you that it was good or bad, but I can tell you that I might have leveraged that. So for sure, we need to be engaged with our AI teams. We need to understand the models and the adoptions, whether or not the data they're using is actually clean data, right? Especially for the internal models. Because bad data means, guess what, folks? Bad results. I think we need to be part of that, again, part of that solution. And of course, standard controls, access controls. I'll say part of the access control is recertification, right? Things like that, they may seem simple that we're not thinking about. Finally, I'm going to say skills in the cybersecurity team. I'm telling you right now that I see this as a huge problem. Similar to the organization, we take somebody who's really smart, say, hey, you're going to be our lead on AI for skills. That's probably not a good idea. So we need to make sure we got people that get it and are fully engaged, fully online. Threat landscapes, MITRE came up with Atlas, which is advanced threat landscape for AI systems. Awesome. I guess my point is let's not do this on our own. Let's leverage third parties as much as possible, and let's think about this, some groupthink, right? We're all in the same boat. We are absolutely all in the same boat, for sure. Okay, what else? Let me see here. What else do we need to think about? Okay, this one might upset some people in the room. Chips fall where they may. I've been in my role for 5 months. I've rationalized 6 cybersecurity applications in 5 months. 2 because they did not have AI native capability. I'm telling you right now, if you are looking at your application stack and it's not native AI enabled, get rid of it. I mean, I know that, again, that sounds draconian, but I'm telling you, if we don't, we're going to be left behind. It's that simple. So, for example, your SIM solution is doing threat hunting, is doing correlation analysis, is doing a lot of things that obviously that an AI engine should be doing. I don't know, but that's an example of one that we got to be red teaming as an example. We got to be in front of it for sure. And I would say people are like, well, we got to deploy, Microsoft Security Copilot. Nonsense. Don't start there. I think you start with things that are AI enabled and leverage them to the best of your ability. I think that's where you start. Absolutely, for sure. And by the way, if you haven't already done some type of machine learning, if you don't have a SOAR model in place, start there, right? So I will tell you that in a prior life, I might have had a SOAR model that was dealing with 80 to 90% of our issues as a first pass. Didn't even have to have human hands touch it. We did look at it. But that's an example of efficiencies and economies of scale from my perspective. I will tell you that there was a solution we were using as part of our PCI. So back to we're 80 billion a year. I'll let you do the math on how many of those are credit card transactions. Then I'll let you do the math on just how much we pay in credit card fees every year at 7-Eleven. Okay? It's a pretty big number. Again, I'm not going to elaborate. I'll just let you do the math. But we had a solution that was scanning our in-scope servers. Kept scanning. Even though we were at 95% utilization, it brought down 25 servers and gave us a P1. Why wasn't that thing AI enabled to say, after we hit 85% threshold and it's increasing, we back off, just as an example. So my point is if your solution tells you, oh yeah, we've got this covered, we're all over it. Really? Show me, because I'm not buying what you're selling. So again, I'm not trying to throw our partners under the bus, but I'm saying I think this is the wave of the future. I can tell you it's the way I operate. Absolutely, for sure. I think it's the way we all need to think about things. Last but not least, threat intel, obviously detection, instant response, dark web monitoring, things of that nature. I'm going to pause there for 1 second. Any thoughts on what your information security teams are doing in the context of what I just walked through? Any comments? Okay, we are definitely at the end of the day. Okay, I'm going to keep rolling then.
Wait, hang on, Jim. We had one to your right.
Yes,
here.
please.
Hey, Jim. So my name is Jeff Bank, and I'm with Baker Tilly, do cyber risk advisory, but I have pretty good knowledge about AI. And I'm not going to speak about what we're doing internally, but I want to talk about a couple things that you brought up. One was the frameworks, right? The risk management frameworks for AI. There's a really good one called the AI AMF or RMF, and it's in the handbook for the chief AI officer. And it's a really good, keeps the humans in the loop and gives you a good fundamental framework about who does what.
I love that.
AI adoption.
That's a great example.
Yeah, and then the next thing is I agree with everything that you're saying, in that it takes the governance piece. You have to have it when you're building your foundations inside your companies for AI, how you're going to adopt it, where are you going to block it, how are you going to utilize it. And I'm a big proponent of AI, and what you're saying here is completely relevant to what Baker Tilly's trying to do from a risk perspective, trying to keep it at the forefront of what we're seeing in our clients, because they're all asking the same questions.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I mean, as they say, the toothpaste is out of the tube, folks. You can either embrace it or you can get left behind. It's really that simple. I think you've got to embrace it. It doesn't mean carelessly embrace it, but you do need to embrace it because it is a fact of life. So this was actually a personal experience. I got rid of my email because I didn't want you hackers sending me a note. So I said, hey, I did a build for a GX, SUV, Lexus GS for my wife. I'm like, hey, we're looking at this. Hey, thank you for submitting it. Heidi, I'm a customer, experience assistant. I'm like, well, that's awesome, but I also got an email from Derek Tucker. Can I just rely upon one of you? Because I don't want to talk to two of you. I don't want to talk to any of you, but I'll tell you what, let's talk to one of you. So she sends an email back, understood. A week later, Derek sends me a note. He says, oh yeah, he goes, the person you were talking to was Heidi, our AI assistant. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Never declared it as the AI assistant. Here I am carrying on with Heidi as she's the sales rep, and not at all. So I'll say firsthand experience about things that work and things that don't necessarily work. I thought that was interesting from my perspective. I think this one is valid. I don't know if you guys have seen this one before. This was salmon swimming in a river. Okay? I think you could say that's a hallucination. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a hallucination, right? And some of the comments were RSA conference, that AI is a weapon and a shield, and I think it gets to some of the comments made by our Baker Tilly friend. I think that's absolutely correct. But you know what? AI is not perfect, but it's out there. I think we gotta go get it. Okay, I think we're coming up on final thoughts. AI is here to stay. Back to toothpaste is out of the tube. And I think almost verbatim, when our friend gave at the presentation, basically said it's increasing at an exponential rate. Means we got to get on board, right? We can't figure this one out. The train has left the station, and there's no way we're going to catch up. We got to be as engaged as possible in this, as much as possible. Adoption, huge adoption. I can tell you a number of companies I've worked with are huge adopters of AI. Now, again, getting back to what's the strategy and what's the return on investment, I think that's maybe a little bit iffy, but I can tell you that it certainly is out there. Your solutions have got to be AI enabled. If they're not, you need to think differently. I mean, I'm sorry. Either our partners come on board with AI enabled solutions, or they don't. It's got to be one of the two. Governance, obviously we've talked about that. I'll say the last piece, and this hasn't changed. A human in the loop still is essential. Even some of the stuff I talked about with SOAR and the high percentages, that's not done on autopilot. we do have a human in the loop that validates where we're at, what do we think, and are we getting the results that we expect? And I think we talked about third-party risk, business critical function. I think this was, I'm sure many have read it, the open letter from the JP Morgan Chase CISO. And I think he referred to that exactly, that comment exactly. Okay, I think it's pretty interesting. This is obviously Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt has also said that in the very near term, 99% of all power will be diverted to AI enhancement. 99%. Pretty crazy, right? But those GPUs take a lot of power. So just food for thought. These are some of the things that I referenced just as an FYI. I'm sure we're going to post this presentation out there for people to see. But I'm happy to answer questions. Again, I know it's been a long day for everybody, so I appreciate your attendance, and I will open it up to any additional thoughts or questions.
Thanks, Jim. We have a question, comment right here.
Hey there, Jim. Peter Liebert. I work at Vista Equity Partners, PE firm, but longtime CISO. Just a couple comments. I think, I agree that you have to look at solutions and make sure that they have AI or they're enabled with AI. However, I would caveat that with it has to make sense. You have a lot of these vendors out there, they're just going to throw AI on a PowerPoint and they tie a LLM model to a chat bot and call it a day, right? And so I think you have to take a look at the solution. What is the AI doing? How is it giving you that ROI? And make sure that ties in with what the actual solution is trying to do. Because another thing we're looking at is they'll just have a random tie-in for an AI bot that doesn't provide any real value.
That is a super astute comment. I will tell you that we challenged one of our vendors that basically said that. It's like, where are you at with this on AI? Well, we've deployed it. I said, well, when? End of February of this year. Oh, okay. That's not really deploying AI. It means you're catching up on AI. So I think your point is spot on, absolutely.
And the second comment is actually on I think it was a slide with it looked like you said it was the firewall rules. Is that right? Yeah, so I'm okay with that. And the reason why is, and I guess maybe my mind goes to additional context, right? It's the same with why would you block any other IT solution out there? My assumption is they have a preferred vendor or a solution that they're using for code generation. Let's just kind of like make some conjecture here. And they don't want gray IT coming in. Because what I don't want is my developers using bots on their own, going through ChatGPT or other gray box solutions, getting stuff back and then cut and pasting it over, because then that's where you lose your IP, et cetera. I rather have my approved solution that goes through, that they're able to utilize, that is contained, that we have controls around. So I would block it at the edge, as well as those other solutions, as long as I have an appropriate picked solution that they can leverage.
I think that's a fair comment. I think I want to make sure, I think the point I was trying to make, probably not very eloquently, is let's not do a fire and forget, right? Let's be engaged in the process. And again, if we're using AI assist and we're blocking at the firewall, that's probably a problem. I guess my point is that I want us to think judiciously about what's there and why we're doing it. I mean, your point is well taken, though. Absolutely.
Right here in the middle, Jim.
I agree with you to a degree, but I think you do have to have a relief valve in there. There has to be a published mechanism for those engineers to say, hey, we want to go experiment in a safe way with some random engine. They have to have a process to get that into the pipeline, and that needs to be well published. We've found for ourselves that when we published the rules around what you can and can't do with AI, that was early on. And then as we started to block engines, we said, here are the approved ones. Here's your mechanism for how you can request others to be evaluated from a legal perspective and from an InfoSec perspective.
Yeah, I think we've got to be judicious, right? Again, we can't just apply the same logic we've been applying. I think we need to think much more critically about AI and what we're blocking and why. And by the way, then we need to show the governance committee, here's what we're blocking and here's why. Got to be very clear. I'm fully transparent. I think that's the right way to do it.
Very quick comment. Your code, excuse me, your source code won't be your IP for much longer. So as AI proliferates, coding will become commodity. Therefore, the things you think you need to protect today will also change rapidly. as I said, source code won't be a differentiator for very much longer anymore.
I think that's a very, very good, yeah, very, very good comment for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? This room, this side's been pretty quiet.
We
I
got
guess they're
about
sitting more in the dark
eight minutes
over there.
left, so who wants to fire off a question, a comment, some feedback? Anybody over on this side? Over on this side? Right, we got two over here.
Hey, Jim. Name's Josh here, and I see in your previous career, you had a career in banking, and I know on your last slide you referenced the start of electricity as being the last transformation. I'm not going to claim that you're, able to comment on that transition, but as far as AI goes, do you see AI in the market expanding across multiple vendors where you're going to use AI agents from one vendor or another and you're going to have multiple? Or do you see it kind of consolidating into, businesses using maybe one AI provider that offers a multitude of solutions?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And I'll give just my perspective. I think it's going to be pervasive. So I'm familiar with the company that uses multiple tools. I'll just say that right now, multiple tools. I don't see that changing necessarily anytime soon, but as cybersecurity professionals, we need to understand what those tools are, how the controls have been enabled. Again, we're here to be enablers. We want guide rails, not guardrails. So I think that's going to continue. I will tell you that anytime a cybersecurity vendor calls me right now, the first comment was, I got to show you how we're AI enabled. Okay, really? And I think back to a comment that was made, we need to, the proof is in the pudding. I think we need to validate a lot of it. But yes, I think it's going to continue to expand. At some point, you may see a kind of recursive back to, okay, what are the cores? But for right now, I think it's going to continue. I'm familiar with companies that use a lot of different AI models, including homegrown, including those that are commercially available. Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I think that's a wrap. Let's give it up one more time for Jim. That was amazing.
Thank you, folks.
All right, so the night is still young, so please join us downstairs, the Biltmore Lounge. We have a nice little open bar for you guys, so come join us for a few drinks tonight. Finish the night strong, but please be awake and ready to go. Rock and roll tomorrow morning. Breakfast 7:30. Plenty of coffee. Don't worry. We have an amazing keynote panel that starts at 8 o'clock, so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be an awesome panel right up here in this room for breakfast. If you are not extending your stay, then please bring your luggage down. We'll hold it for you. And what else?